Fellas, can we still do it?
Good morning, folks. This is a little bit of an experimental video for me. I'm on my way to Shoebury-Ness. It's early in the morning, late October. I would have been going last night, but due to unforeseen circumstances, it was impossible, so I'm doing it this morning. I would prefer it to have been last night in the darkness, but never mind. So I'm just hoping that I can go to Shoebury-Ness and catch a whiting. And what I want to do is, in this video, which is basically just to please my tiny little brain, see how far upstream in the Thames I can catch a whiting. Now, I've caught flounder in the shadow of Tower Bridge before on lugworm in the mid-90s, and I've caught whiting quite far upstream on the boundaries between London and Essex. I have caught a whiting. I want to go right into central London and see if I can catch a whiting. I'm going to start at Shoebury-Ness and I'm going to try and catch one there, and then every time I catch one, I only got to catch one just to make the video, in every location 10-mile jumps upstream until I catch a whiting in every location. So this one's going to be Shoebury-Ness. So this is Shoebury East Beach. I'm just on the edge of the MOD land. I thought it might have been too light, but I have actually had a rattle on the rod tip. There's a fish on there. Well, it's not the whiting that I was after, but it's an half decent bass.
Wow, that's a good size.
It's alright, isn't it? If it's over 42 centimetres, it's coming home with me. Right, folks, that's a foul with regards to the whiting. I mean, I'm not unhappy to come out here and catch a sizable bass that I can take home and eat, but it's got to be darker for the whiting. So it's a foul for the whiting. I'm going to have to come back. I need to come back in the cover of darkness. And I reckon this beach will be crawling alive with whiting. That's it, I'm calling it a day.
Can we still do it?
At the same place I was about 12 hours ago. It's high tide of a night time on Shoebury East Beach, and I'm going to try and catch a whiting. Let's crack on. I've got a couple of lugworm out there already fishing. Just one whiting, that's all I need, and then I can go home. Can you believe it? I'm after whiting and I've caught a bass. All I want is a whiting. Well, I'm really lucky to have reeled that in, because that was so lightly hooked. This thing is sticking his fins right out. There he goes. Go on, son. Good. Good. There he goes. Right, this is taking a piss now. This is another bass. They're tormenting me, these bass. All I want is a whiting. I've finally caught a whiting, and it's got another fish coming out of its mouth. I'll have to film that, but that's job done. I can get the hell out of here now, because that's all I wanted to catch. I've hooked a tiny little bass, and the whiting has took the tiny little bass. Can you believe that? Unfortunately, the tiny little bass has died, but that greedy little git has taken that little bass. Let's get him back. That's it. Job done, folks. See you later, little whiting. That is truly amazing. I feel sorry for the poor little bass, but that whiting took that bass that was impaled on that hook. That's it. I'm off. I'm going home. Right, I'm going to Canvey Island. I'm going to go there. I'm going to try. All I've got to do is catch one whiting. It should just be coming up to our tide when I get there. I've got to bust a gut to get there because it's about an half-hour drive from here, and high tide is in about an hour. And I don't really want to be fishing slack water because the bites will go dead, you know. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Was a foul. It's 2 nights later. I just couldn't face it last night. I come home from work and I was knackered and I just couldn't be bothered. So I'm going to be fishing the western end of Canvey Island tonight at Hullhaven Creek near the Lobster Smack pub. It's roughly about a 10-mile jump upstream from Shoebury Ness East Beach. So that's what I'm doing now. Just one whiting, folks. One whiting. That's all I need. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I'm going to fish off of this little structure. It don't say that I'm not allowed to, so I'm gonna. This is actually quite sketchy what I'm doing here. There we go, folks. That is a Canvey Island whiting. Now I can go home. Job done. He's not too deeply hooked either. He'll go back. Thank you, my little friend. Go back and grow bigger and make some more little whiting. Thank you. He's gone. And that's me done. The next 10-mile jump upstream is going to be Tilbury, and that's where you're going to see me next. I've been at work all day, I've been home, I've had me dinner, I've come straight back out, I've gone fishing. I'm a bit knackered actually, because I've been up all day, so I think I'm going to get myself some liquid refreshment, if you know what I mean. Right, it's Sunday morning. I'm on my way to the next 10-mile jump upstream, which is Tilbury. I've got to try and catch a whiting in the daylight and the drizzle, and I've got to get back because my boy's got a match later. Don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. Like they had a little Halloween party here last night. As you can see, the tide is still down quite a bit. I don't know if this is going to be possible. There's still quite a way for that tide to come in before that's fishable. I mean, if I could get down there and fish off of them rocks, I would, but I mean, it means climbing down ladders and getting muddy. Nice to come down here and see it at low tide, because I can come back and I know what to expect. I ain't got no work tomorrow, so I've come back to Tilbury, the same place I was at earlier. I'm by the World's End pub. I'm the only lunatic out here. All I need is one whiting. You know the drill by now. Second cast, and there's me whiting. That is a Tilbury whiting. I'll get the hell out of here, and I've probably got enough time to get to the next place. The next 10-mile jump upstream. So, you know, he's lightly hooked. He'll go back easy. Thank you, my little friend. Away you go. Yeah, straight back down to the depths. Right folks, I've got enough time to go 10 miles upstream to Rainham, which is just over the border from Greater London and Essex. That's where I'm going now. Officially, I will have caught a whiting in London, but I still want to go further upstream. That's what I'm going to do now. I must be mad. It is really windy. I think you can notice in the background. I'm at Tilda Wharf in Rainham, and I am officially in Greater London, even though it's an Essex postcode. This is in the London borough of Havering. So let's see if I'll catch one here. This is by far the worst conditions. This was my last cast of the night, and I have actually had a bite on this rod. Whether there's anything on there, I don't know, because bite detection in this wind, as you can imagine, is not the easiest thing in the world. Plus, I'm casting into this wind, so I'm not maybe getting the distance that I want to. I'm also thinking that the lights from Tilda Wharf, although it doesn't look like it here to me, it's maybe illuminating the water too much. Not entirely sure, I'm just making excuses now, but these are rough conditions to be fishing in. Okay, I'm going to reel this in. We'll see, hopefully there's a whiting on the end. If not, I'm going to have to try again. So last night was a foul. I'm just going to go back down to where I was last night, just to see if it's fishable. I don't think it's going to be fishable because the wind is really howling and blowing, so I'll have a look when I get down now. Just give it a couple of hours. If not, I'm just going to have to call it a day and come back later in the week, or even next weekend. There's such a stiff onshore breeze, it's a nightmare casting into it. To give it a break for a few days. Next time I come fishing here, it's going to be in darkness, because I think you need that this far upstream, trying to catch a whiting, trying to catch sea fish in an estuary this far upstream. That's what I think you need, the darkness. But the lights from that Tilda Wharf were glaring on that water last night, and I reckon with the shallow water being this far upstream, that maybe had a part to play in the fact that I didn't even have it. Well, I had one bite. So next time I'm going to fish up this end. I don't know whether you can see the point over there. That's where I'll fish, that point over there. I'm going to walk over there now. This is where it's going to be. It's a fair old walk from where you park the car, because the car park that I've parked in now to get here now is locked at the night time, so I'm going to have to park further away and walk along the river. So the next part of this video, to catch a whiting this far upstream, is going to be in a few days time, if I'm lucky, maybe next weekend, and by that time we'll be in lockdown. This is low tide at Rainham. In a few hours time it's going to start getting dark and the tide's coming in. And I'm hoping that I'm going to catch a whiting here. Prior to coming here, I went a few miles upstream. I had a little recce mission into East London to see if there was anywhere fishable, any decent fishing platforms that I could fish from. Because access to the river, when you get further upstream into London, is a lot harder, and finding parking, it's a pain in the neck. Not to mention the fact I might need a stab vest. But this is what I've done earlier. Going upstream is bringing me to some interesting places. So I've come right upstream. This is where I am. I'm at Silvertown. There's a geezer down there on the shore, look. He's just gone in the water for something. He's washing his hands. This is a possibility of a place I could maybe come to on a night tide to catch a whiting in the East London postcodes. I can see a lot of cormorants diving in the river, so there are fish in there. There's a couple of cormorants flying by now. And that shows me that there are fish in the river. Across the river there, that is Woolwich. That's where my wife works actually. That geezer down there is washing his hands in the river. He's metal detecting. Got to get back, I don't want to get a ticket. This is one for the list maybe. I'm going to go a little bit further upstream in the next segment to Docklands just to have a little look there. This is where I want to end up fishing eventually. Somewhere near to central London. I'm at the docks now, Docklands, near Canary Wharf. Let me show you the Thames at this point. There you go. There's the Thames Estuary in East London. On the south side over there, obviously you can see the Millennium Dome or the O2 Arena. You won't believe it, I've just seen a fella fishing. I've seen a fella with his rods out. I'm going to have a little chat. I've just had a little chat with this geezer. He don't speak brilliant English, but he does say he catches fish here. I said to him about whiting and I'm not sure he knew what I meant. But he says he catches fish, so I'm assuming he's probably catching bass. Possibly whiting of a night time. Maybe the odd eel. They're not as common as they used to be. And probably flounder too. But he did say don't fish here of a night because it's a bit dangerous. But I mean, how dangerous can it be? I don't know if you can see. I can see, but I'm not sure you can because it's quite a distance away. That tallest building there in the distance, the tallest one at the base of that, the yellow structure, just to the right on the river. Can you see all that activity with them birds there? That is some fishy activity going on there. Look at them all circling, hitting the water. There's something going on there, under the surface. He said, I finally got it out of him. He said, you don't catch many sea fish up here. He's normally just catching eels. So I'm fishing at last. Got about 3 hours before high tide. It's going to get dark in the next hour or so. And I'm hoping that as that tide comes in and it starts getting dark, I'll start to get bites. Remember, as I keep banging on in this video, I only need one whiting to prove me point to catch one here and then I can jump further upstream. Dusk is descending on the Thames Estuary. Well, look at that. They're like buses. You wait all day for one and then two come along at once. Because it's getting dark, they've come on the feed. And they are whiting caught in the London Borough of Havering. Here's number one, and there's number two. I've caught another one. He's very lightly hooked and he will go back nice and easy. I've run out of worms now and I'm going to go home. That is whiting in Rainham done. So I'm back at the motor now. I can finally go home and have me dinner. Next jump upstream, it ain't going to be 10 miles. I've ticked a London Borough off the list. This is still an Essex postcode. I want to go into the East London postcodes. It's a couple of days later than the last time I fished. I'm just pulling up in East London where I'm going to fish tonight. The parking restrictions stop at 6:30 here, and it is just bang on 6:30. You know the score by now. I'm only after one whiting. Sooner I can catch it, the better. I don't want to be hanging about here all night. I don't know if you can see the rod tip from here. I did just have a little rattle. Right, it's coming up to high tide. Apart from a couple of little rattles, I've had nothing. So that's it. Lockdown put an end to that little mission. It's essential travel only, so I can't be driving up and down the A13 in and out of London. And by the time this lockdown ends, at the end of November, what I've found in the estuaries where I live here, the Crouch estuary, the whiting shoals start to fizzle out a little bit towards the end of November. They get a little bit harder to sort of locate. So I'm thinking that far upstream, the whiting won't be around in any kind of numbers for me to achieve this target. So I've got all this footage to use. I'm going to put the video out there, and I'll have to try next year to catch a whiting in a London postcode.